afternoon, good evening. Welcome to ScottyFullStack.com, wherever you are, whenever you are. I'm Scotty, and I'm happy to have you here. Today I'm going to be talking about Prometheus and monitoring, really centered around the idea of whenever you're going into an interview, you want to be really well-rounded. So whether that be with CI/CD, cluster management, or infrastructure as code for that, or monitoring. So this is the monitoring piece. We're going to start with an open source tool called Prometheus. It's free to use, and we're just going to plug it right into our minikube cluster. So, those instructions for minikube are on my site, on the post, and really everything else you need is there. Three pieces to this today are just going to be, we're going to have an exporter with our Hello app that we made in the last video, and really just middleware that plugs in, presents metrics to Prometheus, and it picks it up. Tells it whether our Hello service is up or down. Then we have a kube cluster, which is just our minikube cluster, very simple. It's kind of the Hello app and Prometheus deployment. And then the third piece here that we have are the config maps for Prometheus and Alert Manager, and those are really going to help us so we don't have to rebuild the image every single time we want to make a config change. That's really it. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and I hope to clarify it so it'll be easier than the documentation, I think. If you go over to the site, you can see our folder configuration. Also, if you wanted to, you could check out my GitHub and ScottyFullStack.com, and I have pretty much all the files up there that you're going to need, and you can reference those. I encourage you not to copy. You can learn much better if you don't. So, also, we have the Docker resources that we'll be using in this as well, and then documentation for Kubernetes RBAC and Prometheus monitoring official documentation. So lots of good stuff, and don't want to take up too much time. Let's just jump right into the Falcon app. So I don't want to go into too much detail about the Falcon app, but really the key piece here and the key takeaway is the exporter. So this is actually the same app that I used in my last video, so if you wanted to, you could go back and check that out. We kind of write it out there, but this is just an HTTP response in the browser. And really the key piece here is that we have this middleware added, which is the Falcon API middleware that for Prometheus that is going to, it's up there, that is going to take metrics from our app, and it's going to put it into the /metrics route, right? So that's where Prometheus automatically picks it up, so why not keep that route the way it is? And so really the big thing here, like I said, you can either copy this, and if you wanted to practice with Docker, you could Docker this up and use your own image, or you can feel free to just pull it down from my Docker repository here, and you can use it however you want. So that's really it for the Falcon piece. Didn't want to go into detail, but you do need that exporter when dealing with any Prometheus implementation. So next we're going to look at the minikube cluster, so make sure you have that installed. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do, assuming you have minikube already installed, if you don't, head over to the website or Google how to install minikube, and you're also going to need kubectl or kube control, and that's pretty well documented, so you're going to need those things. But once you have those set up, we're going to go ahead and do a minikube start. And this is going to start up our minikube cluster. It's going to take several minutes here, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and we'll come back. But you go ahead and pause as well, and we will pick this back up once our clusters are created. Okay, so if your minikube is still provisioning, you might want to pause the video still. Mine is finished, so if you're ready to go, I'm ready to go. So what I'm going to do is first prove that minikube is up and running. So if I do a kube control kit pod, you'll see that it comes back with no resources found, which is good. So the first step in our to get us up and running is to deploy the Hello app, right? So we're going to do a kube control create deployment Hello image, the image provided in the document, or your own image, right? And that creates the app. And then we also want to do kube control expose deployment Hello node port, and that's on 8000. And again, feel free to pause the video if you need to gather this information. So now that is exposed, and now we can actually check that out by doing minikube service hello. It's going to open it up in the browser. We have hello world, And if we do the most important piece to this tutorial, /metrics, our exporter is working, and we are providing metrics that Prometheus will be able to pick up and read. So that's awesome. So the next step here is to allow Prometheus, when we get it deployed, to be able to observe other pods in our cluster and have permission to do that freely. So these are pretty much straight from Kubernetes documentation. I've linked the docs in here so you can go through that. I don't want to take too much time up on this, but essentially there's 3 files in one that I'm calling my permissions.yaml. And in these files we have a cluster role, which is what tells Kubernetes, what permissions and what roles, because this is RBAC, right, role based, what roles our pod is going to be able to have, right? The next one is the role binding, and then the one after that, service account. These kind of go in tandem. We're going to bind our role that we make above to this service account called Prometheus SA. So that's in a nutshell what's going on. If you want to know more, again, go to Kubernetes. I hope to be doing more Kubernetes videos, specifically in Kubernetes in the future, but that is not this video. So let's go ahead. I'm going to copy this. Now, one problem you might run into when copying and pasting is that you may find that your tabbing is off, and in YAML tabbing is very, very important. So in spacing, so what I'm going to be doing is using Vim to paste my files in, because it just keeps the natural spacing. So first of all, what I'm going to do is get into, let's start a new one. Okay, so I've named this folder Get Started with Prometheus, and so inside of here I want to make my directory permissions and configs, right? So inside of permissions, what I want to do is now vim permissions YAML. Okay, I'm just going to insert mode and paste, escape. And again, you can do this in a notepad. Just be mindful of your spacing. It might end up throwing errors for you. So now let's go ahead and do kube control apply -f permissions. Okay, and you'll see here we've created our cluster role, our binding, and our service account. Those are all there. So that's good news. And that's really it for the permissions piece. So the next step in the tutorial is to deploy our Prometheus deployment, the initial deployment. We are going to end up changing the deployment YAML, as you'll see. But here, what I'm going to be doing is just using the official Prometheus image, because I'm not going to be changing it to it. We're going to have our configuration off to the side in Kubernetes. And so really, you can just copy this as is. I'm not going to do the service yet, because it might take a minute to spin up. And then I'm just going to go ahead and paste it. There we go. So now if I did minikube, let's just see if it pulls up right away. It might not. Prometheus. Yeah, it's going to take a minute. Okay, so if you're interested, you can do you can either skip forward, or we just do kube control get pod, and then the -w flag watches it. So it's already up. So let's go back. There it is. So this is our initial Prometheus dashboard. And this is where you're really eventually going to see more information. But if we just navigate over to the status, targets, we can see Prometheus is actually monitoring itself on localhost. So pretty cool. And we'll add our hello service here to this dashboard coming up here next. So awesome, great progress. And in the next step, we'll add our configurations. Okay, so in the next step, we're going to be adding the configurations as config maps for Prometheus and Alert Manager, and also a rules YAML for Prometheus that they use. And then we're going to alter the deployment for Prometheus to have those volumes in it, and also include the container for Alert Manager as well, which you'll see will start alerting messages to Slack as we get downtime, right? So for this next step, what we're going to do is we're going to take the Prometheus.yaml file, which is on their website. It's pretty much just in their docs. I have a link here in the I have a link, yep, right here in the article, and you can go there. But essentially, they have all the way down to here, which is where they're monitoring the localhost 9090, which we saw just previously. And all we're really going to add to their config file is just our job, hello app, and the URL of that app. So let's go ahead and copy that. And I'm going to come back, and this time I'm going to go into configs. Right, nothing in there. We're going to vim, and this one's going to be Prometheus .yaml. Okay. And then we're going to paste it. And then what we need to do, actually, let me put another one. We need to do minikube service Prometheus. And actually, no, let me show you a faster, not a fast way, but it's probably a better way to do it. Dash URL in here. So we're going to grab down to there, copy that, and we're going to paste it up here. Okay, and there we go. Oh, wait. I'm tired. Okay, let's minikube service hello dash URL and get our hello service. Right, so let's just copy that. I'll add the one. Oops. Okay, and then save that. And then what we can do with that is we can go ahead and supply it. So create config map Prometheus dash from file Prometheus.yaml. It should be an equals. Okay, so there our config map is created for Prometheus. Now what we're going to want to do is also do one for Alert Manager, which is also from Prometheus's website. So let's go ahead and vim alert manager.yaml. And then paste it. And one thing to note here that we'll circle back to is we're going to need our Slack URL. Actually, you know, let's not circle back to it. Let's do it right now. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so for the Alert Manager, what we're going to need to do with this once we've pasted it in there is we're going to need a Slack API URL, which is going to come from the incoming Webhooks app that Slack integrates right into our Slack channel, right? So if you have a Slack channel, again, this can be optional for you in this video, but it's kind of important to know how to notify in some way. But you can follow the Slack instructions for incoming webhooks. It's very easy to set up to your Slack channel. And then you pick a channel to post to, and then you can go ahead and get this API URL, which is sensitive, by the way. With it, people can have access to your Slack channel. So obviously I'm going to be destroying this after I'm done with this video. But if you were to commit this in your project and push it to GitHub, they're actually going to flag that, and they will, lock it down for you. So I would be careful with what you push to GitHub. So just take a note of that. But I'm going to take this hook URL, and I'm going to place it right here. Oops. Okay, and so that's in my Alert Manager YAML, and then we're going to save that, and I can now apply that. Config map Alert Manager from file Alert Manager. And that is now created. And the last file that I really need here is a rules.yaml file. And this file is going to be just to tell, our alerts or Prometheus, what should I tell Alert Manager, if something goes wrong, like how long should I wait? So here I have it just for 1 minute if it's down. And it's going to give me a descriptive message that you can alter if you want. And severity here is critical. So let's save that, okay? And then we can actually apply that. So create config map rules from file equals rules.yaml. Cool. Okay, so we have our 3 configs that we need down, and the next step that we're going to need to accomplish is pull down our Prometheus deployment and alter it to have everything that we need inside of it, volumes and the alert manager container. So let's jump over to that. Alright, so for the last leg of this, what we're going to do is we're just going to pull down our deployment YAML from the Prometheus deployment. We are going to, of course, save that as a file that we're going to push up to our repo because that's beneficial to us. But we're going to manipulate that YAML just a little bit. And what we're going to add, now I'm just going to copy this whole thing, but what I want to show you what the key points here that we're going to add are, first of all, we're going to have this service account name added. We're going to have, in this spec for our Prometheus YAML, sorry, our Prometheus deployment. So here we have what was already there, right? The image and Prometheus deployment, Prometheus, and we're going to add the volume mounts. For name, we're going to call it Prometheus. The mount path is going to be etc Prometheus because that's what Prometheus has in their documentation. That's where it keeps the file, so it's kind of the standard place to put it. So that Prometheus volume mount, we're going to tie to a config map down below. So in our volumes section, we have a Prometheus config map named Prometheus, and it's tied to Prometheus. So that config is going to be placed inside of etc Prometheus, as well as the same goes for rules. In etc rules, we have that same kind of logic here, right? So name rules, and then that's name rules. It ties into this volume mount. And then the next piece that we're going to add is the alert manager container. So the image prom alert manager, and that is going to be called alert manager. We have volume mounts. We have etc alert manager. Again, it's in the documentation. And then we're going to tie our alert manager config map that we created to that volume. Okay, so that's really it. Everything else should just pull down naturally from what we get here. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it. So if you want to pull it down, you can get deployment Prometheus-O YAML and then put it to a file, pipe it to a file deployment YAML. So let's go ahead and copy this. Okay, and then let's go back into my root directory, vim deployment.yaml, paste it in there. Okay. And then really what we're going to do is we're just going to do delete deployment Prometheus, and I just want to recreate it. So kube control create deployment Prometheus. Oh, actually, sorry, we can just do create -f deployment. There we go. Okay. Let's just check on that. See if it spins up both our containers, and again the -w is a watch. So okay, and both containers are ready and running, and now what we can do, let's go back to our Prometheus instance, right? We can come over here, status, targets, and now we have our hello app is up and running. It's healthy because Prometheus is grabbing that metrics route and it's interpreting it, so it's telling us that that service is up. Now what we can do to test this out in the event of an outage, right, is let's bring down hello app. Kube control scale deployment hello to 0. Okay, so it's scaling down. You can see that. Get pod, and look, we just have Prometheus now. So if we go back and refresh, it's already telling me hello app is down. Okay, so after a minute goes by, I should get a Slack message that tells me, hey, your Prometheus or your hello app is critically down. It's been down for over a minute. So let's actually just do that. So we will wait for that notification to come in. But while we have this break, as always, it's appreciated you watching this. Go ahead and subscribe, like, send to friends or family who are trying to learn and get into the world of software or web development, either one. This is really geared towards beginners. I want people to learn. I want people to be able to land that job that they want, that gets them to better things, just like it did for me and my family. So I really appreciate you watching. Subscribe, like, and I hope that you continue learning as well as others. There's so many jobs and opportunities out there and there's definitely no shortage of that. So get the skills, build the portfolio, and get out there and develop something. So let's go ahead and see if this is going to come in. And there it is. It just fired. Instance down. Hello app is critical. And the recovery of this will take a little bit longer, but we do have, if you go back and look at your YAML, if we brought this back up, it would come back in roughly 3 minutes, which I don't want to just sit around and wait for. If it came around for 3 minutes, it would send a recovery message as well. But we can at least see that come back up. If I just scale deployment, replicas 1. If I refresh, it's going to take a minute to load that. There it is. So we have our Hello app up, and our Slack channel, it will alert us after 2 full cycles and some change. It's going to let us know that the service has recovered. So that's all for this video. I hope you all have enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that this leads you into bigger and better things with monitoring and DevOps, and I do plan on putting out more videos, getting way more in depth with these apps. And teaching things along the lines of Grafana, plugging Prometheus into Grafana, how can we start using Loki, and APM management with Elasticsearch. So again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and hope to see you next time. Thanks.